Like they don't really have a solution. They just, I actually had a customer come to me. He was a very technical guy. He was a CTO of a company. And he's like, all right, my CEO or my CMO asked me to validate your solution. He goes, I just validated 3 or 4 other solutions and they were horrible. And I go, what's your validation? He goes, you really want to know my validation? He goes, I'll tell you after I do the test. And he goes, okay, fine, do the test. So he runs the test. Now, a lot of my competitors will score traffic on a score basis of 0 to 100. 100 being blockage, 0 being is totally clean traffic. But they'll tell you once it breaches 70, that's typically what most of them say, that's enough for them to be convinced it's fraud. It's 70% likely to be fraud. Well, my question is always, well, if 70% likely to be fraud, what about the other 30%? Is it likely to be real? So therein lies false positives. That's how they're created. For us, it's either good or it's bad. You're hiring us to be your fraud solution. We're going to give you an honest answer and tell you exactly what's going on. So his test was very simple. He says, all right, this is what I did. I took the same information, the same visitor, and I pinged this system 1,000 times. And he goes, I got scores all over the place. They were up and down. They were, sometimes it was high, sometimes it was low. It was just all over the place. And he goes, that's not a real solution. If it's the same information, it should be the same score. He goes, I did your score and it came back the same score every time. He goes, so at least I know you're consistent. He goes, now I'm going to run another test to validate the validity of your data, but he goes, at least I know you're consistent. So that beats the other guys that I've tested. So this is the kind of stuff we run into. So a lot of times we run into people that have unfortunately messed with a cheaper solution and they apply it and they start following the advice and they don't see a benefit. In fact, there's a famous one with Uber. Uber was using a fraud solution, took their advice and didn't help. Didn't make a change. And it was because the solution they were using had high false positives. So if they're mismarking real people as fraud, they're also mismarking fraud as real people. So it doesn't really solve the problem. With our technology, the proof is in the pudding. If you apply our technology, you'll see a lift in ROAS. And as soon as you start seeing that, it's just not numbers in the data. It's just not, snake oil. It's something that's giving some real information. Like I said, I built this for myself, my last company. My last company, Zang, did over $100 million in sales. And we were only able to do that and last for 20 years as a company because we had this solution in place to eliminate the garbage.
Yeah. And I find that in some of the poorly implemented AI models, they don't have repeatability decision making. So if you used a model for something and you use some AI capabilities and it doesn't come up with the same answer, just like you're talking about, if you can't run the same scenario twice and the model come up with the same answer, or it comes up with something totally different every time you run it, there's no predictability. There's no assurance that this is working properly.